Professor N. Usharani Ma'am, former Professor, Department of Studies in Journalism and Mass Communication, University of Mysore. Dr. Ashutosh Mishra, Dean, Chitkara School of Mass Communication, Chitkara University, Punjab. And Professor Narendra Kaushik, Dean, School of Mass Communication in JECRC University, Jaipur. I welcome the chairperson of this plenary session 4, Professor B.P. Sanjay, Professor School of Communication, Manipal Academy of Higher Education, Karnataka. Atmanirbhar Bharat. Atmanirbhar Bharat, ethics and values. This is a theme of session. Humanity is most acceptable condition in our society. Not only the most acceptable, but also the most underestimated. People often help each other to get their mental and hearty satisfaction. On the other side of the story, religion is a fact, a piece of thinking, a notion, a belief system of a group of people who worship their gods. There are many versions of religion, but despite this, in the whole world, the common aspects that unites all the religions is humanity. India is a land of varied cultures and religion. And on world platform, we have been constantly applauded for being such a vibrant, colorful and diverse democracy. Last 2 years, when the world was going through tough times, a campaign was launched by the central government, which included a 20 lakh crores economic stimulus package and a number of reform proposals. Atmanirbhar Bharat. Atmanirbhar Bharat is a mission and a vision of government towards making India self-reliant. Self-reliance will make globalization human-centric. The definition of self-reliance has changed in a globalized world and is different from being self-centered. India's fundamental thinking and tradition of Vasudev Kutumbakam provides a ray of hope to the world. This should be seen in the context of human-centric globalization versus economic-centric globalization. In this regard, I would like to welcome our speakers who will ponder upon today's theme in the plenary session 4. And now I would like to give the mic to the chairperson of the session, Professor B.P. Sanjay, to please start the session with his kind words of wisdom.
Few minutes to say good afternoon, distinguished delegates and fellow panelists on the stage. We have a interesting session, and like every chairperson, when he or she has to look at the session and the theme over which they need to preside or moderate, I was trying to reflect on the theme for this particular panel, and initially I found as to whether there was a certain degree of disconnect. But as I reflected more and more on the theme, organically, like every academic, you add the dots and the dashes and you make up the composition of the theme. Now, if you look at humanity as the broad framework and overall good of the human beings, whether we like it or not, religion, not only in India but elsewhere, becomes a marker, becomes a source of identity. And like all observers of religion, or observers of religion who believe in the inherent values of each religion, humanity is embedded. And for a very long time, although the basis of different kinds of communication are rooted in direct religious practices or derivatives of religious practices, which many would now call as macro cultures. They would argue that human well-being is the essence of it. But when religion was sought to be separated from the state, and by extension media, anything religious in media was considered as being against the grain. So we have had media traditions, concepts, theories, or what you call it, Western or Eastern, all trying to de-link. But what has happened is, as media expanded, you like it or not, media's appetite for content is very high. It has got an insatiable appetite for content. So when it has got an insatiable appetite for content, when our engagement with the media is almost 2/3 of our time, call it screen time, call it viewing hours, or whatever it is, different elements of religion or connotations of religion, spirituality, etc., do come in. We may not know that many of you looking at the MIB statistics in terms of the 800 plus TV channels that we have, probably after news and current affairs, the next largest chunk of television channels is completely devoted to what they would broadly call as spiritual, but it embeds a lot of religion and religiosity in it. One can criticize it, one can comment upon it, but look here, we are talking about society. We are not talking about NMC conclave here. We are talking about people, their habits. Each one has a habit, each one has a value. So the relationship between religion and humanity, if it stems from humanity, then media over a period of time has taken it upon itself to incorporate that in its content. Good or bad, no moral judgment over that. It's up to each one of us to look at it. Now the second related theme is ethics and values for Atmanirbhar. The extension of media content always has a dimension of ethics, as in the practices of the media professionals and values which the society nurtures. And the question often is whether the values are derived from religion as per the focal theme of this session. So, self-reliance, as the moderator, as the person who anchors the session explained, has evolved over the current philosophy of self-reliance. And whether self-reliance actually means reflecting what is us, what is we, is once again a debatable question. So I'm sure that the panelists have, in their wisdom, reflected in their own way on making a relationship to the theme. And we have very distinguished panelists. We have Professor Usha Rani, Ashutosh Mishra, and Narendra Kaushik, whom I have met in different occasions, and I would definitely like to listen to them and their perspective. And as has been the pattern with other panels, we reserve our question and answer to the last, but a slight modification. Rather than general questions, I would encourage the respondents to ask specific questions to the theme of the panelists and direct your questions so that we can optimize our time and leave the general interaction to the speakers when we meet them over lunch or tea later in the day. Without much ado, I would request 10 minutes is the warning sign kind of a bell in their mind. 12 minutes is definitely winding up. 15 minutes is dead end. They have to come back to their seats. This is the rule. May I call Professor Usha Rani, Professor, Department of Studies. Her background is there.
Respected Chair of the session, Professor B.P. Sanjay. Respected Director of the Conclave, Professor Upendra Padi. My distinguished panelists, panel colleagues, distinguished academicians and friends, beloved students. It's a great opportunity. I thank the organizers of Media Conclave for this opportunity. As Chair rightly pointed out, it is a very vast area to be covered within 10 minutes or 12 minutes that is given. It is religion and humanity, ethics and values for Atmanirbhar Bharat mission. So I will confine myself, I'll straight away be very specific and straight away go to one part of this issue, that is the focal point, that is ethics and values for Atmanirbhar Bharat. When Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji announced this Atmanirbhar program, Google claimed that there were more than million searches within few hours trying to find out the meaning, trying to find out the meaning of Atmanirbhar Bharat. So we talk of Jainism, Buddhism, Hinduism, and people struggled hard to just find out what the meaning is, and they Googled it. Millions and millions of searches were made just to find out what this word is all about. So I have divided my presentation into three parts. One is just a few words about Atmanirbharta, and then the media and Atmanirbharta, and then comes the soft power, India's soft power, and then ethics and values of Atmanirbharta. It's, as moderator rightly pointed out, it's a government program, and you have an exclusive web portal, and where it propounds the concept of self-reliance. It is nothing but self-reliant India mission, and it aims to empower. So Professor Ravindran has already warned us using those words, empowerment, but it aims to empower people to become independent through entrepreneurs and entrepreneurship. So it is making ordinary people, making entrepreneurs out of ordinary, very, very ordinary people. The good thing about this is there are a lot of reforms, administrative reforms, we call them as governance reforms, and big policy reforms have been carried out while, so this is not a welfare program, it's not a freebies where money is distributed to the poor people or the needy, but this is a very constructive program is what we can see, and government is very well prepared to implement this because they have learned the lessons from the implementation of other programs. I'll give you the example of polio campaigns, how polio campaign initially had even Amitabh Bachchan as the brand ambassador, but it failed initially because there were no governance changes. You should always support the admin changes, the infrastructure support. The system has to support the messages in the media. So when you want to have the polio vials in the remote areas, you need to have the proper refrigeration infrastructure which the country never had. So the country has learned its lessons from its past blunders, and so Atmanirbhar program has all this. They have brought in big financial reforms, and that is the very positive feature of this program. And it says it is creation, it's mere creation of wealth and values. Creation of wealth. I'm reminded of Narayan Murthy of Infosys, who said to make wealth, to be, create wealth is not a sin, it's not a crime. The means ought to be honest. You had to be honest to create the wealth. So it is very ambitious program where we try to reach the global platform, and we have proved in the health sector with our vaccination. All of us had that Covaxin, and we are very sure of our Atmanirbhar, our ability to produce medicines and other infrastructure, equipments and other things in other sectors. So the government claims that it can be a very good model of self-reliance. And this is not mere sloganeering because it has the socio-economic perspective. Now coming to the media, how did media react to this Atmanirbharta? And this is media, this program was announced in 2020, and the media was reeling under the heavy financial jeopardy, deep financial crisis. There were heavy job losses, many media outlets were closed, there was low salary, so media could not give the kind of importance that Atmanirbharta program deserved. So, but today we feel that mainstreaming of this Atmanirbhar program is important. Why? Because it claims that it attacks the roots of poverty. So we have redefined the poverty. Poverty is not low income. United Nations says it is not low income or no income, but it is deprivation of the opportunity. So Atmanirbharta says we are creating opportunities. That is where the media should have focused, should have mainstream, because it tries to create opportunities for the society. So that is one aspect of the media, but not much has been advocated in the media portals. Now the soft power. Atmanirbharta is closely associated, integrated with the soft power, India's soft power. And I have not coined this word, it is coined by Joseph Nye in 1990 in his book, Bound to Lead. He uses this term soft power, and he says soft power is applicable both to cultural and political strategies. But so far we had that misconception that, and in India we are trying to sell soft power in the name, only in cultural factors. And media has reduced all this into cultural products, and because of the cultural, because of commodification and all those. But he says, Nai says, it need not be. Even your political strategy on Ukraine can be your soft power. So political strategies, and India has plenty of soft power, and that is where Atmanirbharta can be a viable proposition, because the government is trying to help us understand this as a model of development through entrepreneurship. So they are tapping the skills of the people to come and become independent financially. So it is not just, so NAI introduces 3 areas where we can work on, and that is culture, political values, and foreign policies. So these are the 3 areas where we can have soft power, we can tap soft power. India, as all of you know, is the hub of soft power. Your Bollywood, Indian cinema. Now it is no longer Bollywood after this success of Telugu, Kannada and Tamil films. It is Indian cinema. Okay, and Indian cinema, it is a very good soft power. Then religion, culture, Gandhism, literature, spiritualism, yoga and Ayurveda are some of the significant products of soft power that can be used as strategies, and that can take us to global platforms as per the vision of the government. Now the roadmap that has been charted out to the Atmanirbharta is participation. It is a participatory approach, and that is where we need the role of media, the mainstreaming of it. And so we have to have this people's participation to take this to the next level. And you are trying to reach humanity, you know, that's not, it's a big philosophy you have. So we need to work on this ethics and values. What are the ethics and values that are associated with? And in the previous session, we heard the panel speakers on inclusivity. The main value that is required is the inclusivity and the sustainable growth. You cannot have, because you have to reach out the marginalized. You have to have the inclusivity in all sectors, whether it is health, education, even culture and the freedom. So freedom should become the new narrative. You know, Amartya Sen uses the word freedoms. So political freedom, freedom of speech and expression, economic freedom, so freedom of choice and participatory freedom. So these are the different freedoms. It comes with a caveat, you know, if you want to implement it on global platform, it comes with a caveat. You are trying to reach the humanity with a model, and you say, I have Atmanirbhar Bharat mission. So this is not an ordinary GNP, you know, it's not, we are not talking about GDP or GNP, though it is a financial policy. We are trying to reach the humanity. So what it requires are the tolerance, inclusivity, freedom of expression and diversity. So evolve this model on these 4 pillars. It is important because you are you have a religion, you are in this government, the religion has political approaches, political orientations. You have a different take on politics, and so it is very, very sensitive issue to talk of tolerance. You have to talk, the tolerance is one issue that this model, if it has to go to the global platform, has to address, and the inclusivity, freedom of expression, and the most important is diversion. So Atmanirbharta is the dominant narrative, but if this narrative has to find any meaning, you have to have civils, you have to create, as Jeffrey Alexander says, civil spheres, not just one, but multiple civil spheres to have counter narratives. It is, you are not going to be with just Habermas, because there is criticism of Habermas are having just a low degree of inclusiveness. So we have to talk even of Alexander Jeffrey, wherein he talks about the concept of civil sphere and having counter narratives in the society. Can you give that in the society is the big $1 million question. And everything has to undergo political process. Religion has also undergone political process. So if you want to reach the humanity in the global platform, you need to have the civil sphere, and you have to respect these four, some of the tenets of the civil sphere is what my take on this issue. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you.
Flagging the counter narrative dimension, which can be a unique Atmanirbhar response for the mainstream of media that the previous panel had talked about. May I now request Dr. Ashutosh Mishra, Dean of Chitkara School of Mass Communication, Utkal University in Punjab.
Good afternoon, everyone. Taking further the introduction of theme of by VP Sanjay sir and further by Madam Usha Rani, there are three different dots which, as a panelist, we want to connect. The first one is religion. Man is religious for self-development and betterment, you know that. And religion creates an ethical framework and also regulates for values. Religion also acts as agency of socialization, and it brings values like love, empathy, respect and harmony. So this is the background about religion, and if we talk about humanity, it is mankind, human being as a whole, that is humanity. And the principle and the base of every religion is humanity. Religion teaches us to gain esteem. Service of humanity is service to God. We all know that. And we all look for peace, happiness, satisfaction. And every religion tells us about this aspect of humanity. So these are in a way interrelated. And if we talk in Indian constitutional point of view, Article 25 to 30, these talks about freedom of religion. And if anyone does offense to these articles, they are punishable under IPC 1860, which counts from 295 to 298. Basically, if anyone hurts, spoils places of worship, and we see such incidents in India very often nowadays. So that is also concern for as a citizen. And 295A deals with outrage religious feelings. 296 deals with disturbing religious gatherings. 297 enter without permission to burial locations, and 298 emitting words to cause harm to religious feelings. I'm just referring this IPC and the article of freedom of religion, especially because a lot of cases across India, we are witnessing this. These are being reported in media, and social media also is filled with such content which ultimately propagates the hatred and differences between people. The people from north probably will correlate some of the examples which I am going to quote here. It's like we had a lot of series of incidents of Gurugram worshipping case. We have stories from Aligarh temple puja kind of things. We often hear about comedians speaking, presenting while doing their presentation or their mimicry. The cases pertaining to religious hurts, sentiments, these come up, and a lot of criminal cases are being investigated. Journalists also face these kinds of cases. And if we talk about Haryana and Punjab specifically, the sacrilege cases are always in the news, and the power from across nations, or certainly the neighboring states which do not wish that India should be a stable country, so they try to keep their intervention in such a manner, try to to support separatist movements and all that. So these cases we often see in Haryana and Punjab, sacrilege cases. And now we talk about, if we talk about, I was referring to this Auguste Comte. He first talked about religion of humanity. He was a French philosopher who talked about religion of humanity. And if we talk about human values, which you all of you know that it is about self-direction, stimulation, achievement, security, tradition, and universalization. And everything leads to peace and prosperity of society. And we have to respect all the essential values as a citizen. Madam Usha Rani has talked at length about self-reliant India, Atmanirbhar Bharat. As you know, that it was coined roughly in May 2020, and the core of this is to create wealth and values. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said that too, not only for ourselves but for the larger humanity. So that is the base. And NEP also talks about this Atmanirbhar Bharat, that is good for the world. And if we refer to recent vaccine diplomacy in India, India was quite successful on that, and world over our respect, our nation's respect has gone up due to this gesture, which was very fruitful for mankind. And this ripple effects of war and peace the whole world faces, we have to see in that way. So Atmanirbhar Bharat, basically it talks about spatial economy and comprehensive package. And when the opening remarks were given, so 10% of GDP, that is 20 lakh crore, is being aimed for this Atmanirbhar Bharat campaign, and media is having a great chunk on it. And you know that the main pillars are the economy, infrastructure, system, that is basically technology driven, vibrant democratic system we all have, and the demand which has been outlined in this Atmanirbhar campaign. So basically it is cutting down the import dependence. If we talk in brief about Atmanirbhar Bharat, so focusing on substitution, that is safety, compliance, and with quality goods. So if we talk about media content, India is a great media consumer society, huge market, number of audience is great. We have big chunk of the audience and consumers and purchaser as well, and right from the children to school going college kids, talking about academic content, women, elderly people. We have lot of media consumers on news, entertainment, gaming, animation is a big industry. All we have to look for that, to harness that potential. And basically Atmanirbhar campaign is about local products, and as a language diverse society, in India we have a lot of potential in local content, local languages there, and the numbers of viewers are growing up, readers are growing up, you know that. So vernacular language is getting more popular, and that and other contents too, as Professor B.P. Sanjay mentioned. YouTube is the biggest platform, OTT platforms are coming, and advertising campaigns are now made more accurately targeted through all the algorithms they use to reach out to the specific audience. And a whole generation of young millennials is proudly watching content in native language. So these are some of the opportunities in context to media, and that too with Atmanirbhar Bharat. So this was my point of view on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashutosh, for bringing in a bit of economy and GDP as well in your discussion, which is empirical and very much needed. Now, may I request Professor Narendra Kaushik to make his. Oh no.
Before Narendra sir starts, I have to make certain announcements. Dear research scholars, kindly submit your PPT to the conclave mail, that is nmconclave, National Media Conclave @gmail.com. Paper presentation will be held at conference hall number 1, 2, 5, 6 and 8. Student volunteers will escort the respected researchers from registration desk to the conference hall at 2:30 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, I was not able to notice you. May I request Professor Narendra Kaushik to give his views on the subject? Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. Esteemed Chair, my fellow panelists, dignitaries of the dais, and dearest students. If you are feeling sleepy, then please wake up. For next 10 minutes, I am going to take you on a ride. So please be prepared. Can we start the PPT? And let me assure you on this, I am not going to bore you with the academic and journalistic jargons. I'll stick to the theme, and I'll try to connect it to our chair pointed out, there seems to be some disconnectivity, but I'll still try to connect religion and humanity to Atmanirbhar Bharat. So can we start the PPT, please? I'm going to start with a case study, and the reason is because our chair pointed out that humanity is embedded in religion. But I'll put it the other way. Religion is embedded in humanity. That's what my take is, and that's why I'm starting it with this case study. I'm going to play around Samyak Ajivika. I'm sure some of you must have heard of Samyak Ajivika. Samyak Ajivika is proper earning, or what you call proper business. Samyak Ajivika is something that has been listed in number of religions, particularly in Buddhism. Gautama the Buddha talked about Samyak Ajivika, and what it means is that you should not try to earn unreasonable profit. Your profit should be reasonable. Okay, and my belief is Atmanirbhar being Atmanirbhar, being self-reliant, doesn't mean that we are going to be an America. We are going to become America in say in 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. That's not going to happen. Atmanirbhar simply means that we'll have to be self-reliant. We'll have to stop looking at these European countries for arms, for other things, and we'll have to be self-sufficient. Yeah, please go to the first slide. And let's go to the second slide. Here I'm going to talk about humanity in action, and I've already spelled it out that for me, religion is embedded in humanity. And I'm going to talk about a friend of mine who lives in Bhubaneswar. I came to his place on Saturday, and he's going to kill me for this, that you talked about me. But still, I feel there is a story, so I must talk about it. And I'll connect it to the main theme. There's a friend of mine, he's a former journalist, he's a freelance journalist now. We had worked together, his name is Debi Mohanty. And when I arrived at his place, when I reached his place, I was shocked the way he lives. He lives a very simple life. He lives in a single room, and there was not even mattress on his bed. I said, why this? And he has made a lot of money. He has made good money. He has a good amount of savings. But he said, he calls me Nare. He said, Nare, but I don't need this here. I don't need this, I can sleep. He sleeps on floor. And his utensils are limited. I said, I've already repeated, he lives in a single room. And but let me tell you, he is self-sufficient. And why I'm talking about him is because he practices the real religion or real Dhamma. Dhamma means whatever we adopt. Okay, that's the real meaning of Dhamma. I'm sure many of you would know about this. So he practices real religion and he practices real humanity. Because what he does every day, he spends hundreds of rupees on feeding strays. Okay, they are almost like every other stray in his street or on that road which is next to his place, knows this person. He calls them by name. Sundari, he calls them Kali, Puchu, Stupi, Bunda, all these names. And the way he takes care of them, he feeds them curd, he feeds them milk, you won't believe it. He feeds them biscuits, he feeds them everything, even chivda. And he was asking me, Naren, there's a couple they cook food for me, they do these things for me. Do you think I should, will some of my property, some of my savings to this couple? Okay, so he is my slide says humanity in action. Or I would rather say religion and humanity both in action. Okay, and he is self-sufficient. Yeah, let's move to the second slide. I said I'm going to talk about Samyak Ajivika. And Gandhi said, live simply so that others may simply live. Okay, what he meant was, you can see he had only 2 pairs of slippers. Okay, and one was in fact gifted to him. Then you can see those monkeys, they were also gifted to him by a Japanese. So his needs were limited. I'm giving it a spin, sir. And my take is, if you want to be self-sufficient, if you want to be self-reliant, then idea is, we should cut down our needs, we should limit our needs so that we can be self-sufficient, so that we can be self-reliant. And you can see Gandhi, he would hardly eat any food. He would eat once in a day, and sometimes he would fast. And when Barack Obama, when he was first campaigning for presidency, he went to a school. There he was asked by students, by children, is there any historical personality you would have loved to have food with? You would have loved to have lunch with? And you know what his answer was? He said it would be Mahatma Gandhi. But then Mahatma Gandhi would hardly eat anything. He was a very frugal eater. So let's move to the next slide. This is what Mahatma Gandhi propagated. Then Gautama the Buddha, I have already told you, he talked about Samyak Ajivika, that you earn what you need. Don't be greedy. Don't try to be millionaire, in months or in years. Earn what you need. This is our old tradition. It's everywhere. It's almost in every other religion. Please go back to the next earlier slide. There's something about Jainism which talks about tapas or penance is the literal translation of austerity. Let me tell you, you'll find it very ironical. I have always found it ironical that, I used to cover communist parties, and also, I would go to RSS office once in a while. But I found it very surprising, these two poles, like these two ideologies, which are placed on two extreme poles, which are like completely opposed to each other. They like practice austerity. It was easiest to cover them because you can catch them anywhere. You can catch them in canteen, eating 10 rupees thali or 5 rupees thali. It was possible in those days. I'm talking about 1990s. So this is what we should learn from them. Let's go to the next slide. I was saying, this has been part of our, please go to the next slide. Yeah, I was saying this has been part of our tradition. Tete pao pasariye, jeti lambi sor. And, this is how we have always lived. Let's go to the next. I hope I still have time, another 4-5 minutes. Okay, I'll wrap it up. All right, Professor Usha-Rani, she has already spoken about Atmanirbhar Bharat, but I would just touch upon vaccination campaign of India. This was where we achieved self-reliance. This was an example of self-reliance. We vaccinated more than 100 million. Let's go to the next. Apna Desh, Apne Hathiyar, well, this is again another ambitious target. We want to cut down 70% of our imports by 2027. And you'll be glad to know this. In 2014-15, we manufactured weapons worth 1900 crore. But in 2020-21, we manufactured weapons or arms worth 8,000 crore, more than 8,000 crore. So we are inching towards it. Let's go to the next slide. Vocal for local. Again, that's part of it. Let's go to the next one. Yeah, this is my last slide, sir. I'll wrap it up with this. And I'm a very positive person, and I have a lot of respect for media. Let me tell you, media has a big role to play in this. We talk about commercial nature of media, but let me also tell you, there is also a website, there is also a newspaper called Gaon Connection. There is also a website called Rural India Online. There is also a website called Leher Khabariya, and this is solely run by women. Please, when you talk about these things, that media is completely commercial, or it doesn't take care of the voiceless. Please, I would say, think about it again. Okay, there are also organizations like these, but the media needs to focus more on inclusiveness, because this is how we are going to be self-sufficient. So thank you very much, for tolerating me for 10 minutes. All the best.
Range of views that you have presented. Now the floor is open for questions. Please identify the panelists to whom you wish to direct your question. And I request the question, 8 words or less, please. Thank you.
Yeah, to some extent, yes, and that is where the problem is. The heart of the issue is the polarization, and that has to be worked out, but it is very, very complex issue because it is linked directly with the government in power. You switch on the English TV channels, they all look identical. Once you reduce the layers of voices in any media, then you have this problem of polarization. Yes, I agree with you.
I don't think it's polarized. I would say it was always polarized. Look at 1947. In 1947, there were a number of actors Like there were actors like Sanjay Khan. He wouldn't write Sanjay Khan. Why? Because polarization was there. And this polarization had gone to extremes. That's why he wouldn't write Sanjay Khan. There were also other actors like Ajit. Ajit, like he never used a surname, but he belonged to a minority. He belonged to a minority religion. So we were always polarized. Let me tell you, our benchmark for media is or should be that facts are sacrosanct. Okay, and we, let me tell you, in 90s, I would say even now, print media still believes that facts are sacrosanct. Please read Indian Express. Please read The Hindu. Please read these newspapers. Let me tell you, their credibility is still high. And it's high because they are not polarized. They are not polarizing the society. Okay? Don't go by television alone. Don't go by television alone. Don't go by, these like select number of channels. Go by read. That's more important. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Anurag from Kids School of Mass Communication, first year. So my question is that under the current political dispensation in India, there is a pressure to make India Vishwaguru again. My question, why is it necessary to be a Vishwaguru? Is it India's birthright to be a guru for others?
Why? What is wrong in this? That's my counter question to you. Tell me what is wrong in this.
Sir, there is nothing wrong in this, but then sir, why?
Guru, we have always been Guru. Why? Because we want to spread compassion, we want to spread empathy, we want to spread, because, Buddha was born here. Buddha, he was born in Nepal, but he attained nirvana here. So there is nothing wrong in it. If you want to be guru to spread humanity, if you want to be guru to spread human values, to spread compassion, then I don't see anything wrong in it. Is there anything wrong in it? Please tell me.
Sir, there is absolutely nothing wrong in trying to be the very best or be a guru. That's your question is, and there is nothing wrong in that. However, the desire to become a guru is actually not the manifestation of the intellectual rights that a guru has to become a guru.
We don't need to desire.
So, the very desire to become a guru is not a quality that a guru has. If Buddha became a guru, not that he wanted to be, but his qualities made others to be his disciple. And there is a long history of such gurus who were very, very humble, full of humility, yet intellectually very, very powerful.
May I briefly
Sir, can I give my counter? And my counter is, we don't desire it. We have always been a guru. We have always been a guru. We don't need to desire it. Why should we desire it? Buddha didn't desire it. Buddha didn't desire it. Gandhi didn't desire it. Okay, Gandhi, but let me tell you, Gandhi is the best. Well, I don't see anything wrong in it. I don't see anything wrong.
No. Let me close this debate. This debate can be interesting.
respected.
See, the question to the answer to the youngster is.
Let me give a historical fact.
No, 1 second, please, sir. It will. No. Let me tell you, sir. Yeah, sir. There are two dimensions to it. Since we also alluded a lot to media, there was in the earlier discussion and panel the expectation of ascribing a function to the media. It is the society that elevated the media to play a leading role. Media never wanted it, media did not aspire for it, and media still doesn't aspire for it. It is you in the classrooms who say media has a role in gender, media has a role in subaltern, media has a role in that. That is one. The second aspect is, as Usha pointed, and the other kinds of leadership are ascribed to certain kind of soft skills. There has been a transitional role of many governments in wanting to play a role. Earlier there was a technological role, then India had a software role. Now these kind of roles are different from, as some of you are now commenting, wanting to be a leader. Wanting to be a leader is different from others recognizing you as leaders. If that happens, and if empirical data proves that, for example, in IT sector, we have a place. In certain kinds of industries, we have a place. So therefore, the leadership is a derived leadership and not a fixated leadership. In non-aligned movement, we played a role and we became a leader for non-alignment. Good or bad, we may want to forget that phase, it's a different matter. So I think one has to differentiate between the guru. Guru connotation is a very philosophical connotation. I think one has to be more practical than that kind of an elevation.
Just two
Can I
seconds.
enlighten?
Just 2 seconds. The perception of India has changed. No, it was a land of snake charmers, but today it is different. If it is perceived as Vishwaguru, nothing wrong in it. But the thing is, we have to understand that it is the media that has created this perception. The images are created by the media. It is a mediated image. So how far? So we have worked very hard to reach this new perception of new India. So nothing wrong.
I will not speak more than 5 lines. Honorable Chairperson and the learned audience. The question was about whether there is a role of Vishwaguru and who has given you. It was Swami Vivekananda who delivered 17 lectures in Chicago, and an editorial was written by New York Times. Then it was titled as Buchanan Times. Swamiji said, India will lead 21st century to the world not on the basis of religion but on the basis of science and technology. Then Buchanan Times wrote an editorial after listening to the great speech of Swami Vivekananda, because they used to divide Vivek and Ananda. We have come to the conclusion that India is not a nation of barbarians. India is not an uncivilized nation. India is a highly cultured nation. And if further wrote, after 50 years, India will be a free nation and Indians will have parliament and India will be enlightened. That is unquote from New York Times. Editorial of 11 September 1883. Now, Mahatma Gandhi wrote in Hind Swaraj, my nation under democracy is that in which weakest of the weak must have the same chance as the strongest of the strong. Gandhiji wrote this book when he was traveling to Africa on a boat. Third reference I will give you, how India is a guru, Vishwaguru. Because there were 700 rishis in India and these rishis were giving knowledge to the world. Now enlightenment and cultural awakening is the ethos of Indian identity. Buddha was enlightened, then he travelled all over the world. Mahavira was enlightened, then he travelled India. Adi Shankara was enlightened, he travelled whole India. He came from Nambudiri Brahmin family of Pesri Parambadur and went to Kashmir and established Sevakal there, delivered a lecture in Banaras. So these are all enlightened souls. They have socialized what Dr. Ambedkar's philosophy reveals his constitutional, preamble. It is an amalgamation, it is a mixture via media of Buddha's revolutionary ideas and Adi Shankara's pragmatism is revealed in the preamble of Indian Constitution. We, the people of India, solemnly enact to establish India into a sovereign democratic republic. So enlightenment of Gandhi, enlightenment of Savarkar, enlightenment of Dr. Ambedkar is a continuation of the great ethos of 700 years. This is revealed the role of Vishwaguru. India has played the role of Vishwaguru. When Alexander the Great invaded India, he wanted to carry it to great philosophers of India. Then he revealed them, asked them, anybody wanted to come to Greek? Then the Indian scholars replied, we are not going to come to your country because you might have conquered our land, but we have not conquered your heart, our hearts. So they said that we will not be able to accompany you. That is the essence of the Vishwaguru role. And the Vishwaguru role further reveals, Alexander visited the Taxila University campus. He saw the yoga performance there. Who has written this? Not any Indian. Megasthenis wrote in the book Indica that he saw the yoga performance there and he was impressed, highly impressed by the Indians. Patanjali Yoga Sutra, which is a contribution of India to the world. 3 great books. Patanjali Yoga Sutra, Bharat Natya Shastra, Panini's grammar, Ashtadhyayi, and Vachayana's Kama Sutra. These are the 4 important texts in the world which are unconquered. And India, about this Atmanirbhar Bharat, 9 September 1919, Narendra Modi delivered a lecture in which he said 5 things are very important. Rebuilding economy, creating infrastructure, providing participation to the people, and the 4th, creating demands, and the last one, taking heights to the development for the lowest man, participating in development. That is the India's role as a Vishwaguru. America played a role as a Vishwaguru in the period of Abraham Lincoln, George Washington. UK played a role of Vishwaguru, and now India is going to play the role of Vishwaguru. Thank you very much. Thank you all.
Hello. Just one question, and that's the last question. I will not allow any question, and I'll ask the appointed to sum up the views of the day. Please, go ahead.
Hello and good afternoon. Hello. Sorry. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sumit. I'm from Kids School of Mass Communication. I have a question to the panel. While we acknowledge that media is a business entity, do we still romanticize media's role to serve the nation? I'll repeat my question. While we acknowledge that media is still a business entity, do we still romanticize media's role to serve the nation?
Okay. The role part of it has been dealt with. We'll take this question and see whether the panelists would like to give their answer.
Sir, I want to share my view. In the world of imbalances between the North and the South, and the divide between the West and the East, it is important to promote ourselves, to get what we deserve. That's why it is important to promote ourselves as a guru or something else. The word doesn't matter. But in the world of imbalances, where a privileged country can get everything, we should promote ourselves to get what we deserve, I think.
Tete pav pasariye, jete lambi sor. Wow, this is what we call a mind-boggling session, where you question the environment, yourself, and also understand it in a better way. So students, I'm sure after the session, some of our extravaganzas are going to end. And as we are into the last leg of the session, I sum up with some key points said by our esteemed speakers. Mr. P.B. Sanjay sir said that religion is embedded in humanities. Dr. Usha Rani ma'am says that Atmanirbhar Bharat is about creating opportunities and empowerment. We should work upon inclusivity and marginal growth, bridging the gap between haves and haves not. Whereas Dr. Ashutosh Mishra sir emphasized upon the very concept of Atmanirbhar Bharat and how India can be self-reliant. Dr. Narendra Kaushik sir dwelled upon the idea of Samayak Ajivika, a concept that all of us should follow. Lastly, I would like to thank all the dignitaries for such a nice session and giving their words of wisdom to the young minds, and request Dr. Padhi sir to facilitate the esteemed speakers. I have an announcement to make. The paper reading session will be held in the conference hall number 1, 2, 5, 6 and 8 at 2:30 p.m. All are requested to send their PPTs to nmconclave@gmail.com. The volunteers will be escorting the research scholars to the conference hall at 2:30 p.m. from the registration desk.
Professor B.L. Darurkar, another senior most professor, academician is with us. It's my pleasure to invite him to come to the dais to felicitate guest and the panelists of this session.
Professor N. Usha Rani ma'am, Professor N. Usha Rani ma'am, Professor, Department of Studies in Journalism and Mass Communication, University of Mysore. A heartfelt thank you, ma'am. Mishra, Dean, Chitkara School of Mass Communication, Chitkara University, Punjab. Thank you, sir. Dean School of Mass Communication, JECRC University, Jaipur. Thank you, sir.
From 2017, Professor K.V. Nagaraj and at that time also Professor Partho Chatterjee, who was in Assam University, they tried to establish a truly national body so that we Indians can really think about, offer our contribution to the world of communication. Like in history, we have a history congress, like we have a sociological congress and anthropological congress, all these we have. So they actually were trying to establish it. And not only that, I have talked to senior people like Professor Jadhav, and I talked to Sir also earlier, to Sir also, and with my friend and Arul, Professor Ravi, from all over India, professors from all over India, they actually want very serious work to be done and there should be a platform. Indian Communication Congress. It does not mean that we will subsume all other organizations in it. Everyone can be a member of it for very serious affair of communication theory and praxis building and to contribute to the country's communication media policy as far as possible, because we have so many states. We require right strategy because failures are often there. And also we have to take the knowledge that we have from the time of Bhimbedka to today, that knowledge in every sphere, the science of communication, the visual aspect of communication, the performance aspect of communication, the linguistic aspect of communication, sign languages, and the meaning generation. All these aspects actually speaks about a transdiscipline of communication, which ferment in the field has yet to actually decipher. And for that we from India should begin our work at a much higher speed. So in 2019, when we had Media and Communication for Sustainable Development program in Vishwabharati, the name Vishwabharati is very important. Shantiniketan Tagore, who actually gave to the world the events perspective of communication in real, which later Gardner actually included in his encyclopedia of communication as an entry. So we have actually given two. One is common orientation and another is the event perspective. But we do not know. We talk about Aristotelian model, it's good. But we should also at the same breath know chronologically what were other concepts in communication, the 4 stages of communication in the Rig Veda, whose final stage is expression, the voicary, on which only they are working. And now they have come to the psychological stage, Manuel Castells and others, they are working on that, the psychological stage. So, in 2019, under presidency of Professor K.V. Nagaraj, we had a meeting in Vishwabharati. And in this meeting, as our observer, there were persons but they did not talk. Professor Jan Sarves, Professor Daya Thusu, and many more from 11 countries of the world. All of them had traveled by their own money there to get an understanding of one Indian development communication approach. So they also encouraged us. So in 2019, there were Professor Nagaraj, Kiran Prasad, B.K. Ravi, Mahendra Padi, Devbrat, Madhavi Reddy, Vikas Kumar from Haryana and Arularam. The entire India, all the state, all the zones were there. And they decided that we will be having an Indian Communication Congress with the rest is, and they, as because at that time I was there, they asked me to become pro tem president. I told them, see, before I become a pro tem president, I should write something on Indian communication. So now that is being done. It is coming from Motilal Banarsidas and from Springer, Singapore. So now I can spare time for this. That was one reason. There was late from my side. Joe Nagaraj sir was often calling me, and even Nagaraj sir was calling Professor Padi. What happened? So Professor Padi this time insisted me, you have to come here and we will work on it. So we have a good luck that we are with us Professor Ravindran, Professor Usharani, Professor B.P. Sanjay, Professor Padi and Professor Dharulkar. They actually represent both sides. One is the side of academic and practice, because all of them are good columnists, good journalists also. They had written great things, great books also, and great research. On the other side, all of them have been to great administrative positions. So they are from both sides. So they will guide us. Today, this was what I wanted to tell. Now I would like Professor Padi to speak on how we can go, and he can read the resolutions which was taken in that meeting, so that we can take forward or we can change it. And I would like to seek comments from the honorable seniors in the dais. We'll begin with, sir, who is the senior most, sir? Sir, you tell, is Professor Dharulkar or Professor?
The initiative of Indian Communication Congress is very positive, and whatever you have proclaimed Vishwabharati, we fully believe in it. There is a need to document, study and analyze the Indian philosophy, Indian models and the landscape of Indian communication in a new perspective when India is rising, when there is ushering of new age. At this righteous momentous, we are providing a new dimension to Indian communication. I think that this is a very revolutionary step, and we all should work together for the betterment of Indian communication, Indian theories and building the Indian philosophy of communication. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The idea conceived by many of our senior professors, as announced by Professor Dr. Biplava Chaudhary in Santaniketan in 2019. It's a good idea. But it's the need of the hour. We all should come together regarding this Indian Communication Congress, because we don't have that type of organizations. Because if at all we will go, as you are saying regarding the history congress, sociological congress and political science congress, that fraternity, if it will go by 60s, 70s and 80s and early 90s, by that time these uh, uh, areas and these faculties were very important by that time. So media, development of media as a good professional, it all come later on, to my belief. So if it will go by the history after 90s, all the development related to media, now people are pursuing these courses as their career. Earlier, media was, as you are saying, it is not a profession, it is a mission earlier. That concept has already been changed. Anyhow, so we welcome this idea. And also, I'll share with you, before 1 year or before, all young friends of Bhubaneswar, led by Vidhu Das, Hari and Ambika Shankar, Gyana, all are over here. They all also said 2-3 times over here. Vidhu Das drafted something regarding this thing to have a Odisha chapter over here. As you are saying, it will be a national body, so that this body, this chapter, as they are planning, they can have a Odisha chapter over here. It's good. So let us be very focused. Point is that getting idea, discussing, planning, announcing is one thing. Let me tell you. Yeah. But very difficult to execute, because what I want to tell that we do know. Because getting 2-3 meetings, inviting persons, they will share you good idea, but who will execute? What is that? For everything there you need resource. You need the people having time, those who can spend time. They will have to move around the country. They will have to tell. You, so for that you will have to see a very vibrant body. Who can tell? But what is that? But it is the need of the hour. Just by telling this thing, we should not go away. We will have to come. And what is that? I always tell, we will have to blow our own trumpet. We should not expect others will come and blow our trumpet and they will form a platform and they will invite us with a bouquet and we will go and share our ideas. After that, we will back to our home. It's not like that. We will have to blow our trumpet. So let us take a vow. Particularly my request to the young media educators. Those who are planning lot of things, you have all joined in the media education and you are carrying forward this thing. So it is high time you all should come forward. The senior professors, those who are sitting over here, they are all at their fag end of their career. They will guide you. They all will be our guiding spirit. But we will have to work hard. If required, we will have to work hard, taking leave from the department. That's why the organization will run. That these are my suggestions. We all respect your ideas. Also, 3-4 times I have also talked to the Professor K.V. Nagarajan. He told me so many things. So then I request you come and you share your ideas, what you have all conceived during your Shantiniketan meeting. So, since it is the beginning, let us hope for the best. At least I can expect positive support from all of our friends, those who are sitting over here. And apart from that, so friends, those who are here, they can carry forward this message, they can spread that these are the things during the 6th National Media Conclave mooted by Professor Biplabullah Chaudhary, supported by so and so and so and so. So let us come, and it is the high time we all should come forward to have our Indian Communication Congress platform. So these are my ideas. Now, sir.
Thank you. While the idea definitely is good and the other colleagues have mentioned it, what we need to recognize is that a congress or an association, if it is meeting of minds, it always takes place. For example, NMC has been doing it for the past 6 years now. But if you want to give it a organizational structure, it has to be seated in an institutional framework. Congress is not an association of like-minded people. Congress is a framework which, for example, like the Indian Sociological Congress or History Congress, they're all registered entity with ICSSR recognition. That is what makes the legitimacy of the grouping and of the Congress. 2, the structure of the Congress, as I said, should be rooted in an institution. But it also should have a structure of elected representatives who biannually or annually, as it's decided, lead the Congress in terms of the thematic intervention and lead the organization in terms of the other resources that they can generate. So the idea is good, but if you want to move from association to an organizational structure, Biplab said that he floated the idea at Vishwa Bharat. Now, can Vishwa Bharati Shantiniketan articulate the whole conception of the Tagore and Gandhian and other approaches, make a conceptual framework as to what is the foundation of the Indian communication pattern on which the Congress is going to function? Unless we do that, we have had many associations. They have failed, I don't want to be cynical, for various reasons. But today, I see a lot of hope because youngsters with an open and a liberal mind are leading the discipline. If they, transcending east, west, north, south, who is X, who is Y, if they come and take the functioning organization, leadership is a status. I am a president, I am a secretary, no. Who holds the land? For example, let us say, NMC or any other meeting, if it is accepted as a November reality, for whatever reason, every November we are meeting here. Many of us as often as we can, some of us once in a week. Can you have a 1 day in the 3-day activities under the Indian Communication Congress? A good start. Can they be linked? No, it's just a kind of a hypothetical proposition. So my advice to Biplab and Upendra Padi, both of whom are quite good at organization and pulling the young minds together, is that you have to give it an institutional shape. Idea shape can come from different quarters. If you give it an institutional shape, have a membership phase, have a concept of, like any other democratic organization work, then only the Congress idea will work in terms of its academic, like ICA or IMCR. They all are well-structured organization and they are resilient organizations who do not change by the leadership. The membership is the driving force for them. They groups, do we have various thematic groups in the Indian Congress? Do we divide it in terms of relevant issues? This is what the structure of organization or Congress is all about. Otherwise, I have a fear that it will lead to some other kind of an association, and people are completely disenchanted with associations now. So my suggestion to youngsters is you have media fraternity groups. For example, teachers of Orissa, they have a WhatsApp group. Karnataka, Usha Rani is very active in the Karnataka media. She's a leadership role there. Ravindran used to be active, now probably also he is active in the Tamil Nadu CUT and fraternity. So, can we float this idea among the youngsters, the middle level youngsters? And if they come together, for the next 10-15 years, you consolidate it, and the Congress is alive, kicking, and on. That is my suggestion, and whatever institutional structure ideas that Biplab or Upendra wants, I am willing to give the, as Upendra already said, we are at the fag end of our careers. We can probably write, we can call, and we can talk, which we will definitely do. Thank you.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of stories about the associations, and I'm so disillusioned with this kind of ideas and agreements because we cannot even approach the Minister of Education with any decent proposal, because we are not organized. Media is organized and all other disciplines are organized, but we don't have one single organization, one single platform wherein we can even take our grievances or our interests and to the powers to be. So I have seen my students and others suffering because of lack of platforms. So the main demand, the youngsters in my state, the main demand is to give us a platform, give us one letter, give us one organizational, setup with which has credibility and which can take us to the powers to be. That is one aspect of it. So I am for change, because it has to change, and generation of teachers has changed. So the youngsters have to take over and have to bring in their, enthusiasm and novel ideas, innovative ideas to this kind of Congress. Congress is a wonderful idea. It is feasible when it is feasible in science. The Science Congress, I have been attending Science Congress in the field of science communication. Prime Minister of the country every year comes and inaugurates it, every 2 years. So this is where, so it is a very prestigious, organization. So also the Social Science Congress. Mysore University hosted Social Science Congress. So I was also one of the coordinators. It takes lot of efforts, lot of hard work. It is it is not an easy thing, it is not an easy thing. It has to work. We have to work as a team. No egos. So, okay? No egos. You have to give a big margin. You are not Usharani. You are just an ordinary worker of the Congress. If you have that kind of mindset, we can build anything. We are from journalism and mass communication. We have to motivate the youngsters. And as far as the Indian perspective to some of the communication concepts, I wish to draw your attention to the works of experts like Professor Srinivas Melkote and also our scholars in Sri Lanka. They have done wonderful work, in development communication, dispelling every Western theory or the model. So can't we do that? We have the treasure of knowledge in India. Why we have not done that, So we have to, so the Congress or some other organization has to support such a venture and has to have an Indian perspective to whatever that is floated as Western, Now we don't have that colonial mindset. At least after watching that Queen Elizabeth funeral for 3 days, 72 hours on BBC, we have overcome all that, inhibition. We don't want monarchy, we don't want anything of this sort. So that colonial mindset, we have given up that colonial mindset, and we need to develop Indian mindset, and we need to bring in the Indian perspective to all our studies, and somebody was saying it was reported in New York Times. Why we require endorsement by New York Times? New York Times has its own. The Guardian, give me the example of Guardian, not the New York Times. So let us not go by any Western, certification or endorsement. Let us take the best of them. I was also educated in United States. That is fine. Whatever is good, we have taken it. That doesn't mean that we need, Usharani needs endorsement by the Syracuse University or by the University of Illinois. You don't require any endorsement. But I like this idea of having Indian perspective on our theories. All this should be examined. And you can, when you have an organization, you can submit a proposal, you can have a project, you can bring in lot of funds, because there are plenty of funds in social science, I was told. And I have taken many projects from all these organizations I have served. There's plenty of funds, but they need a valuable quality proposals. Okay. And I am for this idea, and whatever Professor Sanjay and others said, ditto. I don't want to repeat it. And I only support any such venture, anything venture. But your participation, young, faculty, fraternities participation is called for. Thank you.
I'm also welcoming the idea. Ideas have to be welcomed, no doubt about it. But ideas have to be welcomed with a certain reluctance. So that's my point. As others mentioned, there are traps also when we make any journey, particularly if the journey is by an association or congress or a society. So these journeys are going to be problematic if there are no numbers. What is a congress anyway? Congress is defined by the logic of very large gathering. If you consider the size of Indian History Congress, it is in the range of 35,000 to 40,000. If you count our numbers, I think in one of NMC gatherings, Professor Sunil Vera mentioned 3 years before COVID, he gave this number. My memory is not very strong. He mentioned that there were 600 departments or institutes offering journalism and communication in India. Probably this was around 2018 or 17. Do we have something like 35,000 members in media and communication sector, education sector? That's my question. If you take the other model, society model, Indian Sociological Society, it is not a congress. Even though it is the second largest group in India, academic group. The Indian History Congress traces its origin to 1930s, 35 I think. Indian Sociological Society traces its origin to 50s. To the same period, ICA owes its origin, okay, International Communication Association. It has a membership of 5,000 plus, mostly North American membership. So there is a model of Congress, society and association. And in all this, as our colleagues pointed out, membership is a problem. As Professor Padi, we have ideas, mentioned, we have ideas, but who will find the membership? Who will keep the momentum going? Who will execute the ideas? So that is a big challenge I too faced. In 2010, I mooted the idea of association of communication teachers in Tamil Nadu. And we had a very simple agenda, one annual conference, no journal, nothing. one quality conference at the end of every year. So we did manage to have some 10 conferences, no big budget, nothing. Every year one state university has to be the host, that's it. So we provided a good meaningful platform for young scholars. After a while I did not have the same commitment or interest because of other preoccupations. So now where is the association? That's a big question. I cannot carry it to my graveyard. Okay, so particularly in the Indian context, individuals define institutions. As long as that individual remains, the institution or the association is kept alive. After the exit of that individual, that collapses. As in the case of many of our departments, academic departments, okay. But in the case of, as Professor Sanjay rightly pointed out, we have to take that message. In the case of IIMCR or ICA, that won't happen. It won't happen.
IMCR is 65 years old.
It won't happen and it has not happened. So we should come out of this typical Indian characteristic where individuals define institutions. If yes, yes, Congress has a future. The idea will live on. That's my point. We should promote membership drive. How many of us honestly pay membership? No. We are also office bearers, but we don't pay the membership. So there are so many ifs and buts. However, we should appreciate the efforts of. Yeah, please.
So that is why I said, if Biplab takes a call, Tagore, let us say, as a symbol of an indigenous development cultural model. Just an example. I know there are many others. And seeds the idea in Vishwabharati as the original literacy. Then what happens in the membership? If Biplab stands front and say, I am the ICA, I am the ICC, then your perceptions of Biplab immediately kills the idea in your mind in the next half a second. Now, that is what sociological congresses have avoided. That is what I see. IMCR changes its president. You don't even know who the president is. They have a very smooth online election. Unless we become democratic in action, not in thoughts, these congresses, sorry to be cynical, but this is something that is very important. And individual based conferences should move to institutional based conferences. Then you have a kind of a resilience of your organization.
No, one can be a member of any number of associations. So that's academic spirit. Vidu can be a member of a sociological association or cultural studies. Nobody prevents it. But in our case, as Professor Sanjay pointed out, no, we link association with the ideas of the person. We associate. Okay, that is Indianness. We should get away from it.
Yes, the apprehensions from the experiences are all correct. So when Professor Nagraj, Professor Chatterjee and others, they deliberated first, they also considered all these things. So the way Professor B.P. Sanjay sir has told, they have also thought in that line. So over a period of 1 year, a model was developed. I'll just tell it there are two aims of concrete action: to enlist the support and assist individual teachers, associations and organizations in India and abroad for the furtherance of its aims and objectives. Objectives are there, it's a long list like any history congress or anything, so I'm not reading into it, time is short. And second, to publish journals, bulletins and undertake other similar academic activities including policy interventions in the way of advocacy. There will be membership. Membership is open to teachers of communication and journalism and other related subjects and disciplines like communication design in arts, then in IIMs, etc., the communication management. So, and there will be domains. This will be domains, as we thought. Then media professionals both in India and abroad, they will be members. There will be categories of membership. And then founding members. The there will be life members, there will be members, there will be associate members and institutional members. 4 types of members. And the Congress will have at least one statutory meeting once a year. But the meeting and the conference are different. But normally what happens in History Congress, I was one of the publication secretary of Indian History Congress. So what happens actually, that the meeting and the final meeting, executive council meeting, and the entire Congress happens in the same week. In the same week.
One last day or afternoon is reserved for the election or whatever. So what I suggest people are doing, if you can make a PDF of this, and send it to the youngster, the Orissa, whatever association, I would request them in to say that in NMC, please do it. Let it not develop a Sunday session. The idea has come, what do you think of it? This is the framework of constitution. Let ideas multiply, get feedback, and then that feedback can be given back to Vishwabharati Shantiniketan for ideas to develop. So the democratic process and participation is ensured from lower level upwards and not from upwards to lower. That would be my side.
So these PDFs will be sent. I just read so that you all can think. All life members, general members and institutional members will be the members of the General Council with a voting right of 1 each. This is one. So because only democracy can save us, nothing else. Associate members will not have any voting rights. The right to membership of the ICMC is entirely at the discretion of the Executive Council of the ICC. The associate membership is given to scholars from other disciplines. Because we want to make it a discipline. The General Council at its annual General Conference shall elect the office bearers of the Executive Council. The Executive Council shall consist of a President, 2 Vice Presidents, 1 Executive Secretary, 2 Joint Secretaries, 1 Treasurer and 7 Executive Members. The term of the office bearer shall be for 2 years, sir. And then the office, the Indian Communication Congress office shall be located at the place of its president for its all practical purposes. This is also what is done in History Congress and others. I have studied.
But it's normally registered at a place.
Registered at a place that we can do in Delhi. That we can do in Delhi. So, in fact, I had some talk in Kolkata also. Kolkata they are also ready, and Delhi also the government is also encouraging this. So Kolkata is also encouraging and Delhi. But as because Delhi is central to all of us, I think that would be better. Then quorum for the General Council shall be 30% of its.
My suggestion is everything need not be about Delhi.
Right, right.
Shanti or Central University of Tamil Nadu or University. See, we have to shift the core. I'm not now raising politics here. Delhi is a very advantageous place for all these associations, no doubt about it. But if it has ideas, it can be voted in.
Yeah, so on the basis of that, in our board of studies, we took decision and sent to university. University said that yes, we can have headquarters here in your department. Of course. Then there is no meaning of Congress. There is no meaning of Congress. Actually, we had decided then that the first Congress will be in Bangalore University. And I talked to the Vice Chancellor of Bangalore University. He said, At any time you can do it.
Perfectly all right. When Bangalore is celebrating 25 years,
Yeah.
Silver Jubilee, talk to Ravi,
Huh.
and Silver Jubilee institutional gift can be the launching of ICA. Ravi, BK Ravi, I think so.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
No, that is why I said BK. This guy is also resourceful, but he kind of is a latent resource. Ravi is a BK Ravi is a potent. That's my opinion. He can do.
So, yeah.
We have got the capacity.
So, they had given me only the responsibility to prepare it. So, I will send to all of you, please give your suggestions on that, because already it was done by 9-10 persons together. They put, yeah. So okay, and I will take all the emails from Professor Padhi. It will be done, and I will connect to the Bangalore University again, to Ravi, so that the first, we have a first preparatory congress in Bangalore University. Because just few days back I had a meeting with Vice Chancellor and Ravi together. So the Vice Chancellor told there is no problem, we will do everything. Okay, okay.
Thank you, all the dignitaries on the dais, and Professor Biplab Chaudhary. This idea molded by him, and on behalf of this audience, I congratulate you all, and you carry on this thing, and all support we are ready to extend. All our friends, Odisha friends, media educator friends, they will also join with you, and we will go ahead. As the points, the critical points, every organization has the strength and the threats. The threats and the strength, it has been dealt very clearly by all of our members, because you all those are sitting over here having 30-40 years of rich experience, not only in administrative capacity, not only in academic capacity, also organizing things capacity you all have. So whatever you all visualize, that you share, keeping that thing in mind, we will have to plan. As suggested point is one, it is the time, only the media educators, young mediocre media educators, as suggested by all, we will have to carry forward this message, forgetting our own egos and sentiments. Here mission is to achieve the goal. Achieve the goal is forming one organization, organizing its activities regularly, and let others feel that yes, there is a vibrant organization set up by the all media and communication experts people. So with this, again I thank you all. So since it is a temple city, and the idea conceived at Santaniketan, again it is second here in Bhubaneswar, we all are with you. So kindly don't hesitate to this thing. And I also congratulate Usharani madam, and also as suggested by VP Sanjay. I know BK Ravi, he is a good friend of mine. Very frequently we used to talk. This time we had invited him because of some personal work. He could not able to come, but I request Usharani madam to pass on this message, as you had informed that already you have talked to the Vice Chancellor of Bangalore University, so that the next thing we can have it, the Communication Congress, we can have it in Bangalore. I hope all, say it is East, West, North and South, the whole pan-India presentation will be there. And let it be established, as suggested by VP Sanjay. He is a very pragmatic man. So as suggested by him, let it be there. And again, by course of its activities, it will expand. So Rome was not built in a day. I believe in that theory. But we all should be very positive to carry forward this. Thank you. And now it is the time for the lunch. Already we are 15-16 minutes late. Friends, Immediately after lunch, we will go for the parallel sessions. We have 5 parallel sessions. Already we have announced everything. It is already circulated. Accordingly, the paper presenters to go to the consult room, and I also requested the chairpersons and the co-chairpersons of these 5 plenary sessions to go to the room and conduct the plenary sessions. Thank you. And again we will meet here. Again we will meet here in the evening during our cultural program.